Hello, I'm Noinika and today I'm going to show you how I paint water. This is everything that you're going to need and I'm extremely nervous because it's my first YouTube video, so don't expect much from it. You can see me setting up my washi tape. I'm using these proportions because it gives me a Polaroid look. I'm currently painting Polaroid photos. For those who follow me on Instagram, they know it already. So you can of course use just white and Prussian blue. You can paint the entire painting with these two colors, but the reason why I chose ultramarine blue because I think the more colors you use, the more depth it adds to a painting. I'm building my base in a transparent way, and I'm going to build up my layers. So as I paint the layers one by one, I'm going to build up their opacity. It is crucial to remember that gouache dries a different color. It is slightly darker, in fact, as it dries. Please make sure that there is enough paint and water for a smooth painting process. After the base is completely dry, I have gone in with the Prussian blue to block in the shadows that are falling on the water. You can also start by painting the light, and what I try to remember is that light and shadow coexist. They are always seen together. It is very difficult for me, at least, to paint water otherwise. If I perceive water as just water, it becomes very difficult to paint it. But if I break it down in terms of light and shadow, it becomes easier. As you can see, I'm using different shades of Prussian blue itself. In some places it is extremely dark, in some places it is slightly lighter, and in some places it is completely washed out, like when we use watercolor for painting, the way we wash out the paint to have a softer effect. You can see me going in with the watercolor effect at places. I have this habit of treating gouache like watercolor because I used to be a watercolor artist primarily, and this has stayed as a habit, and I think it's a good habit because it adds a soft environment to the painting. Now, of course, you can just mix white and Prussian blue once again for having a soft lighting effect, but this is just the way that I prefer to paint water. I think it makes the water look more realistic. I forgot to mention that I'll be following the reference that I've left on the top left corner of this video. So it's extremely saturated with shadows and lighting, as you can see. So the painting process of the shadows is quite a long one, and I take my own sweet time to observe the photo properly. I don't know if I've mentioned this before, so it's extremely important that I observe a reference properly beforehand, so while painting it's easier for me to have a mind map about where there are shadows and where there are highlights. Which brings us to the third step, for which I use white completely in the way that I've used Prussian blue, sometimes in extremely saturated manner and sometimes in a washed out manner. You can use it in all forms of opacity. What I usually do is I paint half the shadows and then I paint half the highlights, and then I alternate between painting shadows and highlights because I think that gives me a more realistic assessment of how I have been painting water so far, and it helps me think about what I'm going to paint next. But you can of course paint with Prussian blue first, or with white first and then with the other color afterwards completely. Like, you can finish painting the shadows first and then paint the light, or you can paint the light first and then paint the shadows, but I usually do them 50-50% because then it helps me get a realistic idea of how I'm progressing with the current painting. What you might have already observed with this painting is that I have blended just the sides, sometimes just the edges of the shadows and the highlights. This is very important for the look of water. What I have also done is, at some places I've blended in white and Prussian blue for a combined color effect. You can just wash it out once again, but in some places you need to have a mixture of white, a thick mix of white and Prussian blue, because that's a better way of handling the photo. I am extremely sorry about the changing lightings of this video because it's my first time editing a video too, other than Instagram Reels obviously, so it's quite complicated, and I'm not used to it. I'm not used to speaking like this too, so I'm very nervous and I'm stuttering a lot. If you have paid attention to me so far, you'll know that. Now you can see me going in with the Prussian blue. Once again, I said that I paint 50% of the shadows first and then 50% of the highlights, and then I go in back with the shadows. This is what I meant. I want to remind you that I think there is no one correct way rather, of painting a picture. So this is simply the way I follow to paint water, but you can paint water in any way you prefer, whatever makes it easier for you and whatever gives you your desired result should be the way you paint water. And if you have no idea about how to paint water, which is primarily why I made this video, then you can feel free to follow. If you look closely, you'll be able to see that in some parts of the painting, I have put extremely bright highlights and extremely dark shadows, and I haven't blended the edges of either, because in some places that looks good. It might sound extremely obvious, or it might sound funny, I have no idea, but in some places it looks good, and in other places it is better to create a blend between both colors. Now, this idea of when to do what really comes with experience, and don't get me wrong, but I have painted water in extremely inaccurate ways beforehand, and I have become better with practice. So I mean, practice is the only way which can help you improve your painting skills. So if you are a beginner artist, please don't feel disheartened, because you are supposed to be bad at something before you can be good at it. It's completely alright if your painting is not turning out like the reference photo. You can take this slow and you can do this. You have it in you. And feel free to add as many sparkles as you want, really, because I think it makes a painting look magical and it gives a personal touch. You can, of course, follow closely what I have done, but if you improvise a little, it will be your own painting. I am approaching the end of the painting process as I am adding the last finishing touches or the last bits of highlights and shadows that I feel will make my painting complete. I'll be honest, I'm beginning to like speaking like this. I'm an extremely talkative person if you know me in real life. Okay, I stated prematurely that I am adding my finishing touches. So, I mean, those can also be considered as finishing touches, but this is literally the last step of the painting when I am enhancing the sparkles by adding some shiny rays to it. You can also blend some of its edges or just leave it like it is, like I have done in some places, and I've blended in some places too. So so yes, that should make the painting complete, unless of course you want to add something else to it. I don't know if I've mentioned a very important thing before, that is I paint the shadows and highlights in a ripply manner, in a way that reflects the element of water. Actually, I've been procrastinating about recording, editing, and like putting the voiceover to this video because I was feeling extremely conscious about myself while painting and even while I'm speaking, which is why I keep stuttering. Hopefully, it will get better over the next few videos as I get more comfortable. I'm not going to lie, I am having fun doing this, but I can get a bit more comfortable, hopefully, over time. Of course, as the ending is approaching, we can see the painting coming together. This for me is the most satisfying part about painting something. So what happened was I did not put the tape very firmly, which caused some leakages around the edges. Thankfully, it was really minor and it's not even that visible, and I can clean it up with some white paint. So here we have the complete painting, and I'm sure you did great. I hope you were able to follow me and that this video was resourceful. And that's it. I'll be leaving my Instagram handle in this video. I am noyoxart on Instagram. So if you have anything to ask me or speak about, you can always contact me on Instagram. I respond to most DMs and comments. You can even comment on this video if you want. And if you found something that is worth staying back for, I hope you do. I won't ask you to like, share, or subscribe because I feel really awkward doing that, but I do hope that you stay back. Thank you.